Yo, what up, Kang?
Yo, Seabear, what's up, man?
What you on, man?
I think we should get to work.
What you got in mind, man?
I think you know what we need to do.
Welcome to the Kang Seabear Show.
Welcome back to part 3 of the support group podcast.
Mm-hmm.
And we're at the end of the third chapter here, and
I can't believe we made it this far.
I can't believe we made it this far. Episode 9, which oddly, there's 9 songs on the album. This is our 9th podcast.
Yep.
That was not intentional, I don't think.
Or was it?
Or was it? It was soul-tensional.
It was universal intentional.
Yeah, so we're going to talk about the last 3 tracks. The last chapter of this saga, this album. Songs 7, 8, 9.
Honestly, like, probably the best songs.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Thematically speaking and...
Yeah. Lyrically,
yeah. Especially the first of the 3 is like... I think we both really hit it hard on that one.
especially you. If they've heard it already, then you know, but I can't wait for people to get to your part. It's just, you killed it.
Thanks, dude.
I really love that. You actually came back in the booth and you're like, I want to do a few different things.
Well, that was...
Remember?
We had discovered halfway through the process of recording this that we had originally tried, we're like, all right, let's try and get through the whole verse in 1 take or 2 takes.
That's right.
But then we were like, wait a minute, it works better if you can break it into pieces. Like, let's just say this one phrase and then have that sound good and then come in with the next one and, do the triple up tracks to emphasize certain points, and which in hindsight I'm like, of course that's how you do it. Like, that's how, you listen to these songs, and not these songs of ours, but you listen to songs that are done by, professionals, and you can tell they're not doing it all in 1 take.
Of course.
They're making sure that every bit sounds as good as it can be, and
Yeah.
if you have to do multiple takes on 1 phrase, then that's what you do.
Yeah. Like you said, we kind of realized that, and also, like, it's cool. It comes out, you record it, and you're not really used to it yet yourself. But, the more we listen to it back in the car, or, like, you start to learn your own song, and then, even getting back to it this past week to redo, Snooze and Candle, it was easier.
Yeah.
Like, I knew the song now. And that's cool, that worked for us, too, in that time-sensitive situation. We only had 2 weeks to do all that stuff. And we managed to do it all, but I think, moving forward, it's like, that's probably the quickest, most efficient way we could write an album quickly.
Which also worked well for you, because
Yeah.
for a lot of your verses, we were kind of recording it that way, but also with you writing it
On
in
the
the
spot.
booth. Like,
Yeah.
you'd have like X amount of lines written, and you'd record those and be like, oh, I'm not sure where to go with this, but then we'd kind of write it like line by line in the moment, which was really cool. I think it's like freestyling, but with more intention.
Yeah.
Which was cool.
And you're, again, going against that clock, so you have, like, your own pressure feeling. You're like, ooh. And it was cool. Even if that's what we didn't land on, because we do this a lot, it was, like, it was great enough, it was good enough, so we could go back and then, like, look at it and change it up. Like
Right.
Saturn's Return, I did pretty big change on that.
Really
one.
significant changes in that.
But, like, I had the rhythm that was there. Now it's just filling space. But yeah, I'm glad we figured that out, And working together, it really helps. Because sometimes I rely on you. I'm like, man, how can I get this to flow better?
Mm-hmm.
Or, like, maybe you're just like, and I'm like, oh, since I heard your other little 2 pieces, here's something. And you can work that. It's really fun. I like that we do it that way.
It's a good process, and I think it works really well
process.
for both of us. It's part of the process.
It's part of the process.
But yeah, that's track 7, Another Life.
Yeah. Another
Really,
life.
I think probably the heaviest. Well, the most.
In your face.
It is in your face. It's inner face. It's the song that's, I think, the least personal. It's more about people in general and seeing what's going on in the world and having a voice about it, while also kind of
Being
looking at
afraid.
yourself and seeing that I don't speak up as much as maybe I should,
Yeah.
and that's a problem. And not saying something is sometimes almost worse than being on the opposite side of it. Where if you're just kind of having this passive opinion on stuff, you're not making a difference at all.
Yeah. Yeah. And you said something interesting. It may sound like personal when you hear it, you know, the use of I, the use of these things, but when we were writing that, we talked about it like, okay, we can kind of edge in that way, right? But it wasn't even really from like just our personal perspective, but really trying to like create this universal character that we understood as a human being, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And we tried to play that person out. And sure, I grabbed from my own life, my own experience, but, you know, everyone plays the same C chord, like, just a little differently. And that's how I was kind of looking at that song. How am I going to share, like, something personal but not be personal?
Mm-hmm.
And it was cool. You can feel the transfer in both of our verses. Kind of starts out in that kind of, let's not call it selfish, but in a way selfish. We all get there like, man, the world's falling down on me right now. But just me. And then you start to realize it, and we start to like kind of bring that out as the verses progress.
Right.
Saying, oh wow, like, you know, I need to not worry about my problems so much. Like I know they're real and they need attention, but I gotta really learn how to manage all this as a human being.
It's really kind of like, I had mentioned this in the car the other night when we were going to try and find some beers.
Yeah, which was a struggle.
I remember hearing an interview with St. Vincent where she was saying, like, every song needs to have an epiphany, whether that's a musical epiphany, like this one chord progression finally, like, resolves in the end, or a lyrical epiphany where, oh, you realize this is what the story is about. And it's really, I think, going from your verse to my verse in a logical progression, it's this realization slowly over the course of the entire track where you finally get to the end and you're like, oh, like, this is what this song is really about. And we took like over 4 minutes to get there, but it doesn't feel like that. It's just this logical build up until the very end where the truth has been revealed.
Yeah. Yeah, and a good way to like describe this song visually, if that's a way people understand it better listening to this, like just imagine we started kind of on ourself, and by the end of the verse we've just kind of zoomed out and we've seen the world. You know, kind of pull the magnifying glass away and stop being, I don't know, so just kind of self-centered in a way. And two, yeah, we said some more topical things. And again, we don't have hours to really say all the things we want, so condensing it was hard, right? There was a few revisionary things even when we were writing it in the booth. It was like, oh wait, I gotta condense this, like, and yeah, that went back to me even like on the earlier parts, like on this one especially, being a little more comfortable using some more, I guess, simple methods to explain things. And I really love this song, like, to death.
It's great. And it's grown on me a lot,
Yeah.
especially.
And too, it like showed a little bit of our prowess in the booth, you know? That was fun. It's an endurance, this one. It's hard, like, there's not a lot of breath. And I think we're going 1:20 on this one as well.
Yeah, both the verses are very, very long.
Yeah. But yeah, getting through that was fun. And then to call it another life, you know, it gives to the mysticism of it. And it sounds kind of like mysterious. And I don't know. But let's get to the chorus, because this is probably one of my favorite choruses actually on the album. Second, I think.
What's the first?
Candle.
Candle and Flame?
Yeah.
Oh, that was...
Snooze is I just put Snooze somewhere else, but this one, like, when it drops to the beat, I'm always like, oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's got a good vibe to it.
Yeah.
Should we just say it out loud?
Yeah.
So it's just, these are just a few of the things that keep me up at night. Taught to be afraid of the dark, but man, fuck the light. Clenching my teeth so much I gotta underbite. Rest in peace, brother, see you in another life. But yeah, you know, clenching my teeth so much I've got an underbite. It's just like, people get afraid to say anything.
Yeah.
Because they don't want to be perceived the wrong way. And that's not okay.
It's not. And again, going back to that, like, beginning of our verse, like, that kind of self-centered thing, like, wow, I'm worried about how I'm being perceived, when really I should just kind of abolish that kind of, you know, self-perspective and breach humanity, you know, like you said. There's cracks in it and the light comes through no matter what. And that was cool. I like how you said that, you know, the light's blinding often. And yeah, wrapping up that in between our verses is really cool.
Yeah.
And again, going back to how most human beings feel, like, man, there are things keeping me up at night. And this is just a good, honest, open song. It's inviting.
It is.
And I hope people are like, damn, when they hear the chorus, they're like, okay.
I hope it makes you think and
Yeah.
makes you look at yourself a little bit and think maybe, like I say in my verse personally, I'll say it like the big epiphany in my own verse, which as I was writing it, it kind of happened at the very end. It's like this very long-winded way of getting to this big point I'm trying to make where, you know, yesterday I woke up sucking on a lemon, like I've got these fucking problems in my mind that seem big to me, but like in reality they're, in the grand scheme, they're not that big. And getting to the end of it is finally like, maybe I should use what I have to make a difference, because my biggest problem is existentialism, where I'm just thinking about my place, and that's not as big of a problem as people that have like real things happening to them.
Yeah. I mean, certainly have real things happening to you, but I know what you mean. And getting to that point to admit where maybe this isn't crippling me like I think.
Right.
And owning that and accepting it. And then moving forward and, you know, speaking up when you can, or how you can, or whatever's comfortable for you. And if that's all you can do, then that's also, you know, we fool ourselves thinking we don't do enough. But there are little things I think we can do every day to really just, you know, escape these feelings.
Right.
Yeah. And not feeling so bad about, you know, what we perceive as helping, right? Certainly there's just things you can't change that we can't change, or really, you know, dismantle or do something about so aggressively. But I think there are just, you know, love. That's a huge thing. Just loving people unconditionally. And it's funny, like all this stuff we always like, man, just it would be nice to forget about it, but you can't. You got to put it in your world, you know, right next to you.
Yeah.
So it's not overwhelming you, but like it's humbling and it's gratifying at the same time.
Right.
Which a lot of the songs on the album hit on that too. This perspective of my own selfishness and my need to be selfless for the world. And that's crazy, right? As a creature to have to like
Think about that.
deal with those things all day. And like you said, what's the variation? Like, what are people dealing with every day as opposed to myself? And yeah, so that's another life.
Another life.
Yeah.
We hope you enjoy it and think about another life than yourself.
Yeah. Well, you want to roll into Peaches of
Cream, Peaches and Poo.
Peaches and Dew?
Yeah, track 8,
Track
Pieces
8.
of You. This one was interesting. It started out as a very basic beat that I had sent you. And
You did send that, didn't you?
it was, yeah, but like it was just that one loop played over and over again.
Yeah, it was part of the Banapple and all that
It's a
stuff.
huge file
Yeah.
transfer.
Yeah.
But we started this song based on, we were scrolling through Splice, which is the sample website that I'm subscribed to, and we found the chorus.
Yeah.
And
That very like 1930s like radio opera lady singer or something like that. Yeah.
and that, hearing that chorus, I remember you were specifically like, I hear this as being like a song about trust and like whether or not you have the trust or misplace the trust. And so we both,
Did I? Okay.
that was 100% your idea. I was like, oh, okay, cool. Like I hear that, and we both kind of went at it from different sides of the same issue, specifically like in relationships.
Yeah.
With a significant other is kind of the lens that we looked through.
Yeah.
For this one.
Definitely. And just to preface, it's not about anyone I've ever had a relationship with. It was just like, again, the last song, the character of being human and putting ourselves in it, right? I don't think we really touched on anything personal on this one, which it might seem that way, right?
I'm sure there's, you know, it's not about any specific relationship for either of us, but I think we pull from just relationships in general and maybe a few things from our own experience, but it's all just kind of this big amalgamation of...
That's great. Like, that's the word. And even like in relation to this, how this album progressed, like it is kind of what we realized up until the present moment. The song, I would say, is very present, right? Like the first half or first third of the album to the second, like those people we were. Once I finally got to the end of the album, like where we're at, it's like, okay, this is me today. And yeah, being young in relationships, a little more middle-aged in your like later 20s, and then, you know, rolling over, like it hits different. And we all kind of go through that. And we understand it's never really anybody's fault why things didn't work out. It takes two people to really make something work or, you know, destroy it.
It takes two to make a thing go right.
Yeah. It ain't two to make a thing go right. Yeah, there's layers to that song.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and this one kind of was just... I remember we were both... It's funny, we were like, it's probably my... It almost seemed like a throwaway song.
Right.
It's like, okay, it's a song about dating, and that's it. We were kind of like... And yeah, we loved our verses and stuff, but it's funny, you were like, man, I ended up... Like, this is one of my favorite songs.
It really
right
is.
now.
I think it's my favorite song on the album now. Just the way it moves through the whole thing and the vibe it has, it feels perfect to me. I told you when I had finished mixing it, I was like, I don't have any notes even. Like I don't want to change anything. It's like the balance of sound is good. The way we say things is the right thing. It flows well. I've never had that experience making music before, and it's weird that it was that song that spoke to me that way.
Yeah.
In the, post process.
All you did was cut out one bass hit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you sent me that. You're like, well, this kick drum sounds weird. And I cut it out. I was like, okay, cool, we're done.
Yeah. We should put it up for them sometime. Like, notice the difference. It like
But-
changed the whole ending.
It's
of
just,
it. Yeah, when we were doing yeah, Pieces of You was great. That was great.
it's good.
That one made me self-conscious too.
Yeah.
Well,
I remember thinking
not
about
writing it, but like the way it sounded.
Yeah.
Remember how I said I thought I sounded like a redneck kind of? And you were like, dude, stop, like you don't. And I was like, I don't know, I feel like I'm not being like romantic enough. But I wasn't. I was like, I was upset and then angry and then, what's the word? Bipolar almost.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of how the song rolls.
It works really well, and it's cool that, again, unintentionally, you wrote your verse from the perspective of, I'm the one being fucked with in this relationship and losing trust, and then from my side, I'm the bad guy.
Right.
Like, I'm the one that's causing distrust, which I think is really cool that we get to see both sides of the coin from the same perspective, but on different ends of it.
Yeah,
It works really well.
it does.
It shows that, again, like what you said, like it's not anybody's fault. Sometimes it's one person doing it to the other, and the other times it's the opposite.
Yeah. And even for like what we've discussed about how to portray this visually, like such a cool concept. Things we've come up with. I don't know if they're really finite yet, but I'm excited to make that video for sure.
Oh yeah, it'll be a good one.
Yeah.
I see it as like we're in a relationship.
Oh yeah, 100%. We have talked about the mannequin aspect, kind of like
Pulling apart pieces.
trying to restructure this mannequin, like what we think of, this person should be for us or what I should be for them, but it's like you and me. We're in the kitchen or something.
Like I'm an asshole. I'm not afraid to admit it. I'm sorry.
Man, fuck you and your bootleg DVDs.
Yeah, Pieces of You,
Yeah.
the penultimate track that leads into the masterpiece ending.
Yeah. And one last thing I realized about Pieces of You. Funny you said, like, man, I don't want to touch it. Neither did we. We didn't add any, like, undertalk. We didn't work on any more, like, of a chorus or a bridge. We just, like, flattened it out and that was it.
Yep.
Which we usually don't do.
It's really basic.
Yeah, it is pretty basic.
In fact, even from the point of cutting up the beat, like normally it's, we record the verse and then in post I'll go through and take out drums here and there to emphasize certain lines or, pull out the sample here. But this one was, if you look at the file, your verse and my verse, the music side of it, it's exactly the same.
Really?
It is. They all, like, the beat cuts out the same points for both of us. It's copy and pasted completely, which is kind of crazy. That never happens.
Yeah.
Should we take a quick break to reset cameras?
Yeah, why don't we take 2?
Let's do it. That's how we do this, because we don't have
We don't have the
right
memes
equipment.
yet. Yeah.
So we'll see you after these messages.
Tearing out pieces of me to replace the broken pieces of you. Tearing out pieces of me. Tearing out pieces.
Well,
And we're back!
welcome back to the deli meat and cheese show. We just
Eating all my deli meats and cheese!
Uh,
That's a
well,
little preview for you, again.
yeah. We're not gonna say too much yet, but
We're gonna leave that for later.
leave it for later. Well, I guess we hit the end of the road, but also the start of a new one.
Yeah.
The last song on the album, the magnum opus, which I just want to say that I want to give you just all the credit on this one, man. It's a fucking masterpiece. I think it's your best work.
Thanks, dude.
You came up with this, well, for one, the instrumentation, and like, you know, you like hit the chorus hard, and the nature of the song, what it's about. I just think it's beautiful, and I needed something to like get me to that point to discuss my darkest things, right?
Yeah.
And that was like, okay, here it is. So thanks. I'm really glad to be a part of this song.
You're welcome. You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah, yeah,
No, the song wouldn't be the same without you in there, and
for sure.
both having different stories to tell that kind of say the same thing,
Yeah,
and our own unique perspectives and how we deal with these issues.
yeah,
This song's hard to talk about, honestly.
yeah. We don't have to get into.
It's very personal. The Candle and the Flame.
Yeah.
This song came about. My mom's been struggling with something going on with her for a long time, up until this point. And then while I was down there, I got a call from my aunt who, takes care of my mom, or had been taking care of my mom, saying that they'd finally, gotten her tested with a bunch of like neurological stuff and discovered that she was struggling with Lewy body dementia, which is a form of dementia that also kind of presents itself as a bit of schizophrenia, where there's a lot of hallucination involved, and it can happen a lot earlier in life, which my mom's not super old. She's only like in her 60s. And, it was, for me personally, it was nice to finally have a name on what was going on with her for the past couple of years, but at the same time, it was hard to come to terms with the fact that, yes, there's 100% like something wrong with her, for real. And especially something that there's not a whole lot of research about this particular type of dementia, and they don't really know how to handle it 100%, and they're still figuring that out. But that's really where this song came from, is, right after that phone call, I was like, okay, well, I feel like this is something that needs to be talked about. And it kind of morphed into this idea of how do you save the people you care about the most when there's really nothing you can do apart from just being there for them when they need you. Like, you have no power to change anything, but you just have to be there, and that's really all you got.
Yeah. Actually, that was it when you said that to me. Yeah, like the Serenity Prayer, which I'm sure a lot of people are familiar with. That's where that came into play, and that spawned you to get the chorus out, like how it came out.
Yep.
Which was awesome. And, when we had met, I could always tell as we became friends and stuff, like, I think that's why maybe we resonated a lot. It was weird, we both had so much going on in our lives. And I didn't even know at the time, and you didn't know mine either, right? But I knew that we were both kind of just that kind of person. And I always wondered, like, what is it with Zach? And then when we finally started to open up and stuff, it was like, whoa, yeah, that is heavy. You're a human too. And funnily enough, 10 years later, we're making a song about it. We stuck to the things we started in college, even though we had that big gap. And then coming back, I thought over all that time things would probably get better, in life or at home. They really didn't, They were pretty bad when we had met. All the things going on with family, even things from childhood that weren't really resolved. Just kind of like you said, I don't know, I never really attended much like Al-Anon or any of that really, but I kind of just started to get it. I was like, man, this shit fucking sucks, but I'm standing up today. I'm the one that's like, it's on my mind and it's in my heart, but I'm still doing the things I sought out to do in life. So that must be a strength I have. So just keep pushing through and pushing through. But even that over time was like too much,
Yeah.
You can't carry that weight. And making this song really let me let go of all that, all the terrible relationship patterns I've had with my family, and my family, like across the board, intermediate or, outside of it. I mean, extended family is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Just a lot of people struggle with their mental illness and their drug addictions or their alcohol addictions, and well, a lot of them have gotten better or sober, like some aren't, and like even that's heavy, and that came into my family pretty hard for a long time. And watching my heroes, go down and just disappear from my life, essentially, people that I needed, had to become like I'm a man, when I was really young, and that was hard, and I was pissed, and then I was ungrateful, or I was this or that, and all these years went by, and I just started to go, the most important thing is that I just keep staying strong, no matter what, for these people that I can, while they were trying for me, and then, I don't know, it was making me a really sour human being. I couldn't do that anymore, so I had to accept a lot of things. And about myself too, I was I had a lot of issues. I had a lot of problems I needed to attend to. And I'm at a place finally where things feel good enough.
It's great.
And accepting things is probably, everyone needs to. I encourage it. It's hard, but when you do, you just wake up the next day and you're like, wow.
It's cleansing.
It is. And even that, like if you stick with that kind of mindset moving forward, now new problems come in and I'm just like, all right, go back to it.
How do we do with this?
Your heartbeat,
Yep.
Just remember you're alive. Remind yourself, touch your neck,
Yep.
and love these people no matter what. And I'm grateful. I've had a lot of people return to my life lately that I needed that were gone for like a long time.
Yeah.
And even if that goes south, which it sucks, you start to just always consider things like that. But I'm like, I don't care anymore. I'm just grateful you're here right now.
Yep.
I'm going to take advantage of this, and even to really surmise all that, like put this fucking album out with you. I was terrified to even do this with you, but.
But that's the idea of the song. There's the line in the chorus is like, let go of tomorrow and hold on to today. Like,
Yeah.
be grateful for each good moment that you have. Hold on to it, and like really live in that, because you don't know what's gonna happen.
Yeah.
Down the road.
The candle in the flame is quick to fade away, and I don't think we meant that in like a negative light.
No, it's as sad as this song is, and as real as it is.
Yeah, it's pretty heavy.
It has a very hopeful edge to it.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
the whole time too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like towards the end of both of our verses, it's this whole thing of like, all this bad shit is happening. Like, what the fuck is this? But then we switch into this whole idea of like, well, this is okay, and I'm okay, and we will get through this one day at a time.
Yeah. It's
There's
almost
hope.
like it's like a slap and a soothe immediately. You know what I mean?
Yes.
The way we come with like one part of the verse right into the next line, it's just kind of like, it's okay. Like it stings a bit. It's like that realization, which even at the end, like it's funny. This is the last song we wrote together on the retreat. From song one to this one, it was funny even for me. I was like, man, remember we wrote it like in 30 minutes?
It was not long. I mean, I remember you had to leave for a little bit. I think you had to do something for work real quick.
That's right.
And I remember like I had just found that piano loop and played it over and over, and I think I wrote my verse in like an hour.
Yeah.
And then you did the same thing. It just
Which was
came out
funny.
it was very organic.
Yeah. And
Almost
even
like
the,
it just needed to come out.
yeah, and the structure was there, and like I didn't struggle writing with it, like, but I was the whole time. You know, just again, this podcast, all this stuff we're doing for support group is like you said, it's about the journey or the process of making this album, and we've talked it to death, and like getting to hear the end of it, it's like, I don't know, we finally got that spark back.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Oh,
We've
yeah.
always had it, but I remember like right when you left, I was like, damn, that last song we just did was really the testament to all these years, all of it.
It all finally comes together a decade later.
Which is crazy.
It's nuts.
It is, man.
And it's beautiful. It's a beautiful
Actually,
thing.
that's why we kind of wanted to record these, because we look different now. Like, things have changed. I mean, it's funny. But it's been a pleasure working with you all these years.
Same.
Definitely my best friend.
And that's it. I'm done.
Yeah, fuck it. Fuck you. I'm taking the merch.
All right, George Lucas.
Yeah.
No, it really wasn't. That's kind of why we decided to call this support group. Is this album as a whole touches on issues that I think a lot of people go to support groups for to talk about.
Yeah.
But also making this was for us a little bit of what we needed at the moment, and to work through some issues, at least on my end. I don't want to speak for you, but
No, absolutely.
Like-
that was probably one of the harder times in my life I was going through when we made that. Like,
it's weird because leading up to this album, I hadn't really worked on any music for a very long time because I wasn't in a place where I felt like I needed to say something. I've been in a very happy relationship, and
yeah.
and that's given me less to talk about because I've always wrote about like negative experiences in my personal life.
Yeah.
But it wasn't until we started working on this again that I was like, oh man, like I need to do this, and this is the thing that's been kind of missing. As much as I'm happy with where my life is, there's always a little bit of something that I'm like, man, like something doesn't feel quite right. And now, we worked through it and just rediscovered this therapy for myself.
Yeah.
Where I can talk about anything really and work through my own shit.
Yeah. And like going back to what you said, like there's credence there for people who might be struggling with this now. Like it is true. Like, if you're a creative person or you're artist, whatever we call, that, like there is that. Like, even when life's really good, ABC, good relationship, good job, or all these things that seem to be like,
Sorry. When you said ABC, I was just thinking.
Oh, about this song. I know, dude. Plaguing ourselves.
I don't even know my ABCs. Sorry.
No,
Go
it's okay.
back to what you were saying.
I don't remember. Probably getting cheesy anyways. What was I saying? Oh yeah, no. Just jump into it. Do the thing that you've been holding off doing.
Yes.
Creatively. Just don't have any thoughts really. Just like let it come out, and then you just won't stop after that, Mm-hmm. And that's what happened here. Look how much work we've been doing since we've made that. And like we have full-time lives outside of this.
Mm-hmm.
I have a full-time career. Like you have a full-time career. Like you guys are busy all the time. Like it's just a lot, But we still do this, and it's the same amount of work, but it never feels like it.
Mm-hmm.
So just don't be afraid to do it. Don't doubt yourself.
Do the work.
Yeah.
It's worth it.
And two, though, doubt's good sometimes. Yeah. Have a little bit, it'll push you. But yeah, support group. That's the journey. That's the story. I can't believe it.
That's that. I can't believe we made it this far.
I can't believe we fucking made it this far.
And I can't believe we made this
Yeah.
album. Honestly, like, I don't care if it means anything to anybody else. It would be cool if it does.
For sure.
And I hope it does.
Yes, we do.
But I'm cool with what it means to me, and that's enough.
I'm gonna be 90. I'm gonna have my floating Amazon radio
Recliner.
Yeah, it's gonna be made of some ethereal material. I'm just gonna put our CD in, and it's gonna be da 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 da. And that's it. We said this a long time ago. 2 years ago when we made it on the podcast. That's what we kind of. You asked me what moment do you want to get with all this out of it? I was like, I don't know. My favorite part was when we listened to Saturn's Return and we're just jumping in.
Yes. It's like just like hyping ourselves up, picturing us like performing it.
That was rewarding enough.
Yep.
So yeah, it's a rewarding life.
It really is. It's been very good.
It is.
You've been very good to me.
Same, brother. Love you, man.
Love you too.
And there'll be a lot more from us. This is just the new beginning.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
We are not ready to leave.
No. Yeah. But I think we're ready to leave this room and get some food and enjoy our last day.
Yep.
So that's support group, baby.
Support group.
And
Go
one more
listen
time.
to it. If you haven't listened to it, go find it on Spotify.
Yeah.
We'll put a link down below or whatever.
Yeah.
Go follow us. We make some funny shit. Good
Yeah, we do.
content.
Good-hearted things, you know.
There's gonna be some more stuff coming from us. Not just even music. Like we got some other stuff in the works too.
Oh yeah. Makes sense.
Makes sense. All right, bagel boys.
And again, one more time. Now that we hit the end, I said this at the beginning, but just listen to it all the way through.
Yeah. Stop what you're doing. Sit in a dark room. Maybe have a drink.
Yeah.
Drink a beer. Have a scotch.
If you're in your underwear, who am I to judge?
But yeah, listen to it front to back, and it'll be worth it. It's only 28 minutes. It's
Yeah.
like an episode of TV.
It really is. And everybody loves Law and Order, so
Boom boom.
this is an episode of Law and Order.
Shorter, aren't those hour episodes?
They are now, I think.
Yeah.
Well,
I guess that's it.
guess that's it.
We'll see you later whenever we make more of these.
Yeah.